This is Chris Craig, Faith Mentor Team Liaison with One Congregation, One Family. I am here with Crystal Johnson Luster. She is a peer-to-peer mentor for our program, and her family has participated in the last program cycle. So Crystal's just going to tell us a little bit about her experience and what you should expect coming from the family side of this program. So Crystal, tell us a little bit about what your experience was before One Congregation, One Family. How did your family find yourselves unstably housed?
Basically, initially, I'm from the Washington, D.C. area. My husband is not. Born and raised here. I raised my older 3 children here and had decided to move away for a while, and had moved away for about 8 or 9 years, and then I got married, and upon getting married, my husband and I lived where he's from, which is Kansas City, Kansas, and we both agreed that it might be best if we came back here where I'm from, because it may be best, job-wise. And he began to, seek jobs here, and so he did. He did a resume blast, of course, looking for jobs, and he found quite a few. So he responded to one in particular job, and he decided this time that he was going to do a different career, go into a different career path. And doing that, responding to this particular job, pretty much did like an over-the-phone interview, and kind of, if you so to speak, hired him over the phone kind of deal. And at that point, we really agreed to go back or come back into the area. And so what we decided to do was just take our finances and live off of that. And we said that we'll live in a hotel, and if you got this job, so we'll just wait until you get a couple of paychecks. We'll get a house, go, so on and so forth, and go from there. So once we got back into the area, and he went to the job for the initial face-to-face interview, he went for the interview. The interview kind of went perfectly. This place was beautiful, he said. It was decked out with a beautiful chandelier. It had beautiful furniture. The reception area was gorgeous. The interview was just like you wouldn't believe. That was the initial interview. And he got hired. He was to come in 2 days later to do his paperwork. And when he went back 2 days later, the office basically was gone. He went in. He called me actually from the office, and he actually called me to ask me to look up the address again, to look into his email, because he thought he was at the wrong office. Mm-hmm. And so I asked him, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Look at the email and tell me what the suite number was." He was at the correct building. He said, "Look at the suite number." And when I did, he said, "I think I'm in the wrong suite, because the suite that I'm in doesn't look the same." And so I asked him to describe the suite to me, and as he did, he began to tell me that the chandelier was gone, the furniture was gone, the reception area was gone. So I asked him, "Well, what's in this office?" And he said, "It's nothing but boxes in here. There are no people in here, and there are chairs stacked up like the type of chairs that you would see in, like, if it were a banquet or something, like chairs that would be prepared for a banquet." And so he said that at that point, he was puzzled because he didn't understand like what had happened to this office. At that point, I explained to him that sometimes some jobs do scams. They, that
Mm-hmm.
this area is known for job scams, and the job was in Silver Spring, and Silver Spring is known for job scams, and so that's what happened. So, long story short, he was the victim of a job scam, and we were here now, so we lived off of what we had, which wasn't much. We only had a total of about just a little over $2,700, and that didn't get us far. Within a month's time, we were broke, and literally on the last day of our hotel stay, we packed up our stuff and we got on the bus, really not knowing where we were going, but we just kind of got on the bus and we just rode around a little bit trying to figure out, like, what are we about to do? Where are we about to go? And because I had been out of the city for so long, I kind of had lost touch with all the friends that I knew and all the resources that I'd had, because I was the girl that had all the resources. If you wanted to know where to go and who to get connected with, I was that girl. And everybody called me for every resource, every connection, every hookup. I had it. And I found myself not knowing who to go to and where to go, who to call. And so it was the day before DC was supposed to get the first biggest snowstorm. And we were in Southeast over by St. Elizabeth, and I remember we were standing at the bus stop, and this lady had gotten off the bus, and it was very cold outside, and it was my husband, my two teenagers, and it was my two younger children at the time. And she asked, were we okay? And everybody else said okay, but they said it kind of with a little hesitation. And so I didn't say anything, and I think she could see in my eyes that it wasn't okay. And so she said, it's kind of cold out here. Do you have somewhere that you can go and stand? And she asked, are you guys waiting on the bus? And I said, no, ma'am, we're not. So she said, do you want to come and stand inside of my building? And I said, yeah. Is it okay? And she said, yeah, come on. So we did. We went and stood inside the building. And as we came in the building, she was talking to us, and she was talking to my daughter, and her and my daughter were talking and laughing, and she asked my daughter, do you want anything to eat? Basically kind of asking her if she wanted some fruit or whatever, and she was asking my son the same. And so she kind of pulled me to the side, and she said, sweetie, are you okay? Is everything okay with you and your family? And it was at that time that I kind of broke down, because I just kind of couldn't hold it in anymore, And as much as I had been trying to remain strong for my family, because I kind of didn't want my kids to see the hurt, the stress, and the struggle, it was at that point, I think because somebody else had acknowledged my silence without me saying something's wrong, that it felt kind of okay to say something's wrong, So it was at that point that I began to share with her, what was going on. And so she began to express to me that she had resources and she knew of a few numbers to call. And so we began to call a few places, and some of the numbers we called didn't actually work out. And her daughter was a 911 dispatcher, as a matter of fact. And she called her daughter, and her daughter was the one that told us to call the shelter hotline. And when we called, that's when we were able to get through Somebody called us back. And it took some hours. It took about 4 hours. But after that 4-hour wait, we were picked up and we were taken to a hotel. Finally, we began to start our journey of, I don't want to say homelessness, but it was our journey of homelessness, but it was our journey of restoration. That's what I'm going to say.
How long do you think it was that you stayed in the hotel for before you were paired up with OCOF?
Initially, we went into a hotel for about 3 months. We left the hotel and went into DC General. We went to DC General. We were there at DC General for probably about 6 months. And then we went back into the hotel again. Oh gosh. I think the whole process probably was about 8 to 9 months.
Okay.
Before we were hooked up with OCOF. And then we had some bumps along the way. I voluntarily signed up for OCOF, and honestly, I wasn't interested. I signed up for it. I was interested, but then I wasn't interested. And I was pregnant, and I had my baby and had some medical difficulties along the way, you know, so that was a little setback. And then we had some issues with the unit that we were staying in, and something just said, call. And I didn't call, but then Miss Crudup called. And when she called, it was like, that's when the door opened up. And it was like, you know, everything just happened. When she called, and I just have to say, I always say when I tell our story and I talk to people about the program, I honestly really feel in my spirit that she was like the angel. God was really sending an angel to us. You know how you always hear people say, you know, I kept asking God for help. I kept asking God for help, you know, and, you know, people say, I didn't get anything. I didn't hear anything. And I kept asking God, God, please help us. God, send something, send a sign. That was our sign. She was absolutely our sign, and she was our angel, because I promise you, when she came along, I responded. And I'm so glad that I did, because I'm not saying that she was the savior. I'm just saying that she was absolutely the help that he sent to get the ball rolling, to help us get where we needed to be at now.
So once you made contact with Miss Crudup, she paired you with a Faith Mentor team. So tell me about what you thought the Faith Mentor team was going to be like and what it really ended up being like for you.
I really thought, here we go with another program that's probably going to be nothing, that's probably going to keep coming with the same old that they always come with, that they're not going to do much. They're probably just going to have us come to whatever, one little program or something, say this, that, and the third, and we'll never see them again.
So what did you really do? What did you really do with them?
Wow. And when we actually got linked up with our team, our apartment got burglarized twice, 2 days in a row. And a funny way to actually get linked up with a team, for them to meet us in that capacity and then we got moved into a hotel. Our team met us at our hotel. That's initially how we met them. Mm-hmm. We met them. They came to our hotel, but they came to us with food because we couldn't cook. So they came, they cooked us food, brought it to us, and then they bought each one of us like something to wear, clothing, because we didn't have anything but other than what we took from our home, which we packed quick. So my husband was the only one who thought, let me pack like I'm really going on a trip. He packed like a week's worth of clothes, and everybody else packed silly, because I packed like 3 outfits. And so did the kids. So I literally had 3 outfits and about 3 pair of shoes. Mm-hmm. And so our team like really thought smart, and they came to us thinking, let's get them what they need right now. And they bought me a bag of like underwear, pajamas, body wash, body spray, personable things that me as a woman, as a mom, would want and need. Mm-hmm. And they did my children the same way, like each individual child. They got my daughter, they bought my daughter a dress. I mean, even though it may have been single items in the bag, but it was things that was something to make them feel special in the moment, because it was our first initial meeting. Mm-hmm. But it was something to make them feel like it's for me right now at this moment. And then when we got into our unit, oh my gosh, like we didn't even come out of our pocket to buy anything. So our team was a team of about, I think, 6 to 8 people. I can't remember off the top of my head. Our whole entire congregation, or their whole entire congregation, pitched in. We had people donating furniture. I had congregation members blowing my phone off the hook to take me out to the store to do my kitchen, like decorate my entire kitchen, do my bathroom, to donate clothing to each one of my children, my daughters, my sons. Like, I literally had members come into my house with trash bags of clothes. They were coming to my house with pickup trucks of furniture. And
that was at your moments of immediate need.
So
when you were able to stabilize a little more, what would you say was the impact of the relationships that you built with people in the group?
So in March of 2015, I found out that I have multiple myeloma, which is bone marrow cancer. And before I even disclosed that to my children, I disclosed that to my team and to Miss Sonia. I did not expect or anticipate that I would develop a close-knit relationship with any members of the team. However, I ended up developing a very close-knit relationship with one of my team members, and her name is Miss Carol, who in turn was or used to be a nurse. And we now call her Grandma Carol. My children call her Grandma Carol, so does my husband. But she now, like, we are so close. She lives like right around the corner from us. But I never thought that she would be the one that I would be the closest to out of all of the people on my team. My sons have developed relationships with one of the other team members, and they have helped them with their college search, and they've even went with them to sign them up to do like this crafty thing at the library where they now know how to do some kind of 3D art thing on the laser 3D art, which is cool. Like, they have gotten so involved and they've become mentors, like beyond being a mentor, and it's much more of a sister, mom, aunt, grandmommy,
like
family-ish type of deal. You know what I mean? That is not even what I was anticipating to happen from this union. And I'm not saying that there's not hiccups, because everything has a hiccup, and everything you may be like, oh, I don't like that. And that's what happens in families.
Right.
And so, because we're like family, of course, you know, there may be things that you're like, well, I didn't really care for that too much. But we work it out like a family might work it out, you know. And the thing that I love, though, is just that at the end of the day, I don't have a family like that. Like, I don't have siblings. I have no brothers and sisters. And I just have my children and my husband. And the fact that I have now accumulated a grandmother, in my eyes, you know, is like the best. For my husband to come here and not know anybody, and he feels the attachment of having what he feels is a grandmother, what more could you ask for? Like, that's like the best to me.
What would you say to someone considering being a mentor or just being a family participant in this program? What would you say to both sides?
From a congregation standpoint, the best thing that I really would want to say is, don't just be a congregation, because in ministry you have to step outside of yourself, because we are all called to minister. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in titles, pastor this and bishop that. At the end of the day, if you remove the title pastor and bishop, your name is still whatever your name is. And when you go to sleep at night, you are still who you are. You have to remember that for the person that you're helping, because you can still become who that person is that you're helping. You might go to sleep at night with $10,000 in your bank account, but you can wake up with a zero balance.
Right.
So don't ever think that you are obsolete from being in the position of the person that you're helping. You have to understand that your reality may not be that person's reality. And it may be hard for you to understand how that person came to be where they're at. But it's your duty and your commission to love and minister to that person. Because ministry is not just reading scriptures. Ministry is loving beyond what you see in a person. It's not just, you can't just judge a person. You can't judge just because a person doesn't have the same stature that you have, or doesn't come from the same background that you come from. We're still supposed to love. We're commissioned to love. The Bible says that. We are commissioned to love one another. That's the one thing that God says that we have to do, is love one another.
So what about the other person who needs love, the family that may be considering this program for some of that? What would you say to them if they're on the fence about it?
You mean if they're not sure?
If they want to be a part of OCOF or not, but it's on the table, what would you say to them?
We have nothing to lose, honestly. Because I look at it like this. If you just came from this shelter, you already lost everything. That means that you're on your way up, so you have nothing else to lose. If you're coming through this program, you're on your way up. So any congregation that you're getting ready to embark upon or get joined with, they're there to help you continue to go up. And so you have already come from having nothing, and you're at your point of self-sufficiency, and they're there to help you continue to remain self-sufficient.
All right. Crystal Johnson Lester for One Congregation, One Family. Thank you very much, ladies.
Bye.